Welcome to Coach Soul, the podcast where we explore therapeutic ways to the best versions of ourselves. I'm your host, Steve Hudgins. I'm a licensed professional counselor dedicated to helping you navigate life's challenges. In each uplifting episode, we'll discuss mental health, relationships, self-care, emotional well-being, and personal growth. Join me and with my co-host, Evelyn, a therapeutic life coach, where sometimes we'll even welcome special guests to our show that share their experience and expertise. So let's embark on this transformative path together and discover a healthier and happier you. All right. Welcome back to Coach Soul. And, Kenya and I do not color coordinate. It just happened to be that we like Christmas. She's in red, I'm in green. And so we're popping today.
Oh, fun.
And, it's
first week of December.
Right?
Amazing.
It's Christmas time. It's the season, and it's amazing how you look at online shopping or people going and shopping, and they take the money and just spend it. And is that success when we have a lot of money and we just spend it? Is that what we call success?
Oh, many of us do. Many of society standards. I know for a fact that where I live, there is a rush every day of December, and the stores are open later the entire month and through January, because through January now is like the exchanges, the rush of having things together. And I'm just going to be very honest here, because this is the only way I know to be. There's a part of me that fell into this crack. And I notice when I had kids, I just want to give everything to them. Oh my goodness, this is so cute. This is adorable. And in hindsight, when they were little, like little, it was for me. I felt like I was being a successful mother if they had all the toys and they had all the cutesy matchy. And it was beautiful. We have amazing pictures. And man, that does not define success at all. And I gotta go a little deeper here. From where I'm coming from in Brazil, I would be lucky to get a couple of gifts like this. So the abundance of the easiness to buy. I don't know how it is in Brazil right now, but it's not like it is in America. I mean, everywhere you go, you go to buy a Tylenol. You're surrounded by candy and fluffies and cups and mugs, like buy. Oof. And may I just say, there is a hit with bags and beautiful things. There's a feeling good. There is an addiction. There's endorphins that comes out, and they die really fast when you see the credit card bill. Set it, and I'm going to leave it there.
I'm curious about something. Things go well, and we think, oh my gosh, how successful I am in this or that. But a lot of times, Kenya, especially around this time, people get into in the way of themselves, think that they're not successful, and they get into depression, and suicide rates go higher.
Yes.
So, I think we need to look at what is success. And to me, success is just it's not merely the achievements of goals, but it's a reflection of the perspective we cultivate within ourselves, because it thrives the clarity of our values, the courage to embody them, and understanding that true fulfillment lies not in the accolades, but in the meaningful journey that we create.
Beautifully said, Steve. For me, success, we were speaking off mic, and I told, I have a mean voice inside of me that comes to visit and say things like, you're not successful. You didn't do this. You haven't accomplished that. And my goodness, by any standards, I know I am incredibly successful. And dear listeners, if you're listening to it right now, I want you to think about which area of your life you're really proud of. What about you're really proud of? Because somebody making $10 million and you have cultivated deep relationships. You tell me, somebody buying a really expensive car and you having health to go around and serve and energy for others. Forget about others for a minute. If you cultivate peace within and a connection with God. So I define success right now when this mean voice comes and ask me about, hey, what about music? What about this? What about that? And I am doing it and I am there because it's a calling. I get it. But that doesn't mean anything because I know the successes I have cultivated is peace within. The contentment, the fulfillment that every time that I have a hug from my teenager versus I hear all the time, my teen don't talk to me. How do you do that? Was like, well, first of all, my teens have one technology, their computer. They don't carry their technology in their back pocket, and I have access to their computer at all time. Like I know what's going on in their lives, and we have conversations. I cultivate conversations. I cultivate heart connection. And most important, dear listeners, you can cultivate. I'm inviting you to cultivate in this season of the year right now, December, where a lot of voices will come to visit. It depends where you're at. Maybe your marriage is amazing. Maybe it's not. Maybe you just got a divorce. Maybe you want to get married. Maybe you're a teen listening to this and you feel like, I want to have a better group of friends. Wherever it is right now, it's you. You are the magnet of your life that attract things for you and that charts back things that are not for you. And when I say you, I mean your alignment with your clarity.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting because, as a therapist, I've counseled doctors, attorneys, even major league professional sports players. And, it's amazing that here you have these variety of different walks, all the way down to a stay-at-home mom or someone who runs a business, successful CEOs I've dealt with. And here's the thing. It's about perspective. And I know we talked about that in our past podcast too. Mm-hmm. But it's how do we? It's not about how, because we get stuck in the how.
All the time.
I've got your voice in my head. It's not about the how. It's what. So what is it that we can shift the focus on and saying, oh my gosh, I've got the Midas touch. It just went all to pieces and I'm not very successful.
Well, pick me. I know it. Picking up from November. Gratitude.
Yes.
If and when every time that the voice comes in, that the frequency comes in, that wants to pull you out of abundance into lack of the things they're missing, the people they're missing, because it's not, dear listeners, I promise you, even if you can't see it, it is there. I promise you it's there. It's a match of a frequency of perception. So let's try something different right now. Let's do this exercise together. Where are you successful at? Just answer in your brain or write it down. If I say, hey, what are you proud about yourself? I'll go one step deeper because sometimes society can be very square. Those voices can be very square. What are you really good at it that nobody can take away from you? Have you built anything with your hands at any time and space that you're like, oh man, I remember that. That was amazing. And that was me. That is me.
It also gets deeper because men, some of their identity is built into their successes. And divorces can make you feel like you're not successful because everything starts getting stripped away from you. And it becomes difficult. And so, I'm reminded what has helped me through my situations is what Paul wrote in the book of Philippians. It's, again, you can look at scripture or a Bible or whatever as literature, but it has a lot of wisdom that comes behind there, and it does work. It's helped me tremendously because Paul says in Philippians 4, I'm not saying this because I am in need, for I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. But I've learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether living in plenty or want, because I can do all things through him who gives me that strength. And I think that's very important to realize that if we want to look at success, are we content? Are we content in any situation that's been given to us? We may not think that we were successful in that moment when all hell broke loose. But that's what shapes us into something better if we allow it.
So, Steve, I want to interview you for a second.
Sure.
Because I know you have been so raw in your guidance of all the places you've been. And there's a lot of listeners, I believe, that have experienced what you have experienced of marrying and having all the dreams and the visions of being forever. And next thing you know, it's not. It's December.
Right.
The shadows and the ghosts comes to visit. Maybe the family split up. Maybe the kids won't come. Please allow our listeners to hear from you. What are some tools that you use to keep yourself grounded in the truth of who you are at, with or without everybody around?
When you go through the holidays and you're by yourself, because I've been there, some of my family is a good 12-hour drive, some of my family members. And so when it gets down to the holiday, oftentimes I had to look at, stop focusing on what I don't have.
There we go.
It's the shift in the mindset of what can I do to contribute. And so on Thanksgivings, I've done friends' Thanksgivings. I've been invited to other people's homes. It's we think about, in that moment, it does seem dark. Well, Steve, you're not successful because your family, you're divorced, Well, wait a minute. I'm not going to allow that statement to dictate who I am. Can I acknowledge that I've hurt people? Yes. Can I acknowledge I've said some things that were wrong? Yes. But does that mean that I keep going down that road? No. That's what I became a therapist, to help people to understand where I've been, that they can get through the same way. And it's about a sense of community. And the holidays is about a sense of community.
Yes.
It's when we start getting into our mind and we start isolating.
So from the beginning of December, our listeners, from whatever spectrum they're at, for the mamas like me that feel like, ooh, things are about to get busy.
Right.
My intention here is to lead a movement of a connected Christmas. Not a spendful Christmas, but a connected Christmas. Less is more, ladies. Less is more. Less is more. Engage the kids in the cooking, engage the kids in the organization and the preparation and the vision. How do you want this Christmas being like? Because, once upon a time, gifts was only once a year. But in this society, we give gifts to our kids all year long. And sometimes gifts are their needs because they grow out of their shoes, their cleats, their ice skates, their whatever, So all year long, they're receiving things. If it's really about the birth of Jesus, then it's about the birth of Jesus. It's celebrating his birthday, celebrating the end of the year, celebrating family, celebrating connection. Let's spend less outside and more inside and more within. That's my message for my mamas, my girls, the families out there that feel like my kid will love me if I get this to him. Well, he won't more than a minute.
Right. No, that's
he will
true.
love you when you create connections and you dare to listen to the hard conversations.
I always tell my parents in therapy, spending at least 30 minutes of your time to a kid is like 5 hours to their time.
Amazing.
Because you're building connection. You're building that ability to teach them how or what, to be able to be successful in relationships.
100%. And for the people that don't have a big family, that you are representing right now at this moment, they're not raising kids. We're setting the tone in December to create connection. Still, that's my invitation. This is our invitation, dear listeners, for you to see yourself as part of a bigger picture. A part of God's family, a part of the Cultured Soul family. And ask yourself, this December, my intention is that it's going to be the best ever. And what would it make that best ever for you? What is it? Because if you don't decide right now, this is my coaching for you, our free coaching for you. If you don't decide how you want to spend the holidays right now in December, you're going to be sucked in by old patterns. The old patterns will not just come visit. They are already there, ready to jump in and take over. The pattern of thinking, the pattern of loneliness, the pattern of overspending, they are right there. So if you want this December to be different and better and happier, what is it going to be? Decide, maybe write it down in the comments, journal about it, envision. Let us know how we can support you. Remember, you're not alone.
It goes back to perspective.
Yes.
And knowing that just because you had an oops doesn't mean you're a failure, you didn't succeed. I mean, you look at some of our history of inventors. If they stopped at one failure, we wouldn't be having electricity. We wouldn't be having cell phones, those type of things.
We wouldn't have anything. We wouldn't have a computer. We don't have a microphone. Oof, life is trial and error. But again, is it really error or is it learning?
Again, perspective.
Tweak, moving forward.
That is. Success is about moving forward.
So I'm going to answer the question of this podcast.
Go ahead.
I am successful. Are you successful? I am successful.
Correct.
I am very successful. And dear listeners, answer the question of this podcast. Are you successful? And if you hear a voice that will be criticizing you and tell you all the things that you're not, just know it's a voice. It's not you. The voice is not you. Make a list. Brainwash yourself to the things you know it's true. What am I successful about? How this is going to be the best December and closure of 2024. Regardless of the environment and politics outside. Cultivate your inner environment with love, with success, with truth, with whatever 3D word you want to use. With peace, with the kindness within to know that you're here for a reason and you're wonderful just the way you are.
It's having to just like exercising. You want to lose those pounds, and you're going to have to make some changes. Because if you continue to eat and eat and eat and eat and don't make any changes, you're not going to lose the weight.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to seem difficult? Well, sure, it's going to be difficult to put that extra donut or extra cookie down. But it's pushing yourself to say, how far outside of the box can I go? I mean, was it been last year in July? I went on my first cruise, went by myself, went outside the box of my comfort zone, and I had a wonderful time. But if I talked myself out of it, if I looked at things, I would have missed out on the beautiful pictures I would have taken, the connections that I made with a variety of different walks. You know, it's just amazing to be able to talk to a person from the Middle East, from Africa, from Russia. I was able to talk to a variety of different people and connected. And that added to my plethora of knowledge. It added to who I am as a person. And to me, that, can you put a price on that? No. But was that successful for me? Successful in a way that there's no price, but successful in a way that I built connections, something I probably wouldn't have done 20 something years ago. So it's learning how to be comfortable when things seem icky and push yourself through that tar pit of your mind of, I'm not good enough. Are we allowing the puppet strings of other people's words to direct our steps? Or do we shift that thinking of where the promise is there that God directs your steps? And so to me, it's about learning how to be comfortable with yourself, challenge yourself to be able to do more than when you are. I'm amazed at people who are quadriplegics. I mean, I remember being in the army, and this guy was an aerobatic, and him and another person collided in midair, which severed his legs. Mm. And he pushed through, and he was able to stay in the military. I mean, I'm trying to think of the movie now. Goober, gosh, I can't think of his name. Anyways, the Navy SEAL diver, based on a true story that he had an accident and lost a leg. But he pushed himself to so much, but had a cheerleader that also pushed him to where he became the first African-American paraplegic that still was doing diving.
It's incredible. The things that we are able to do.
Right.
The things that we're capable to do, I mean, is unimaginable until somebody else does it. And it becomes a new standard of possibility. So, dear listeners, what if you are the new standards of possibility? What if you dare to have a glimpse of what if? What if is such a much better question? What if I could? What if I am? What if? What would it look like?
Right.
In curiosity, in play, in entertainment. I know this is already the best December of my life. And when I show up here in Coach It So to record, I am offering you the same frequency. What if this is the best December of your life? Where shackles are open, where the voices of the past are minimized like little tiny auntie voices. You can't hear them at all. You think they're funny. And you get to create memories the way you've always wanted. So what would it look like? And I know I keep asking the same question because if you don't know what it look like, then it's not going to happen. So what if it would happen? Please entertain. What would it look like? Write it down. Journal. Visualize it. Meditate. Pray over.
Right. You know, it's about getting out of our head, put that naughty person in the corner that comes at us and says we're not enough, because we are. Other people do not determine who you are. For me, God has determined who I am, and I'm a child of His. He's already determined that for you. He's determined that for our listeners. We're going to throw our tantrums. We're going to act like a kid, and that's okay. But it's learning how to get out of that stage and have that emotional intelligence of being able to be mature and recognizing I don't have to be here. I define who I am. I don't need to listen to my own words in my head that says I'm not enough. Success is all about perspective.
100%. And hold on to the truth, dear listeners. Hold on to the truth of the things you can point it out. The things that other people pointed out. That you're amazing just the way you are, like the song. You are amazing just the way you are. Woof. So good.
It is good. And so with that note, no pun intended.
Right.
Until next time, take care and God bless.
So much love.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode on Coach Soul. As we wrap up, we want to remind our listeners of a few key points. This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not substitute professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The content shared here is based on professional opinion but may not apply to everyone's situation. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider before making changes to your mental health care. If you're in a crisis, please seek immediate professional help or contact a crisis hotline. Listening to this podcast does not create a therapist-client relationship. For personal advice, please consult with your licensed mental health professional in your area. Remember, your mental health journey is unique. While we hope this information is helpful, it is crucial to work directly with the qualified personnel for your specific needs. Thank you again for tuning in to Coach Soul, and we'll see you next time.